and director of the Presbyterian Women's Synod Project for last year and this year, ongoing until the end of the year, till December at least. So I'd like to introduce our speaker, Angela Reagan. And let me give you a little bit of information about her. And when she's in her workshop, she can certainly give you more if you are interested. Angela holds a dual MA in both law, justice, and culture, and sociology from Ohio University. Her master's research essay was entitled Law as a Sharp Shifter, an exploration of female prisoner narratives and a retraumatization of incarceration. That's a mouthful. Her master's thesis was based on her findings from a 3-year study on collegiate recovery programs and was titled Student by Day, Recovering Addict for Life, a quantitative study on balancing recovery and college life. While earning her bachelor's degree in psychology at Ohio University, Angela's interest in wrongful convictions led her to a double major in sociology criminology, where she focused on reentry and judicial approaches to defendants. Angela, formerly incarcerated herself, struggled with drugs and alcohol for nearly 2 decades, before giving her life to Christ. Angela is a trained crisis counselor, a certified peer recovery supporter, and is a licensed chemical dependence counselor assistant. Before dedicating her life to Welcome Home SIS full-time, Angela taught sociology for 3 years at Hocking College and was a research specialist for the Small Business Development Center at Ohio University. And just to end this, she'll tell you a lot more about Welcome Home SIS. But one thing that Angela had in her bio, which I thought was we can all connect with, she stated, last but certainly not least, Angela has 3 children who she makes a conscious effort in embarrassing them on a daily basis. And I think a lot of us can connect with that. So at this time, would you please put your hands together and welcome our speaker, Angela Reagan.
Thank you all for having me. It's such an honor to be chosen for your mission project last year and next year again. My name is Angela Reagan, and I'm the founder and director of Welcome Home SIS. SIS stands for not only our sisters in Christ, but it's also an acronym for System Impacted Survivors. And the system refers to the criminal justice system. So just a little bit here about us. Who we are. Basically, I just said we're a Christ-centered organization, a nonprofit that caters to women who are coming out of prison. And we're Christ-centered, but we take women of all faiths. They don't have to be, a lot of them aren't Christian when they come to us. They could be another religion or no faith at all. But as long as they know that who we pray to and who we rely on for our healing and who we worship in the house is Jesus Christ. You have a Bible verse to go along with that. It's Ephesians 2:12. And what we do is we provide a safe, stable living environment for these women. And that's Job 31:32. It's not on there, but 31:32, I believe, is what it is. So no stranger has to spend the night in the streets, because our door is always open to these ladies. And what we're finding is when men are incarcerated, men often have somewhere to go when they're released. They have like their wife, their girlfriend, the mother of their child, and even their own mother that is trying to hold the family together, the home together. So they often have someone that they can go when they're released. When women are released from prison, the men in their lives are not as likely to stick around. So a lot of them are homeless. People that are coming out of incarceration are 12% more likely than the general public to face homelessness. And women are especially 35% more likely than men to be homeless when released from incarceration. So, I mean, why we do it? Because, I mean, it's the godly thing to do. God calls us to, take care of the poor, the people that need help. And Hebrews 10:17 says, God's not going to remember their sins anymore if they're forgiven, and why should we? The stigma of a woman with a criminal record is so much worse than it is with a man. It's kind of becoming accepted, more readily accepted with man. But with women, they're shunned, and it's awful. We believe that, her crime does not define her. She's not a prison member, she's a survivor. And she's a child of God, just like, all of us in this room. So, she deserves a respect and a chance, and a second chance, and sometimes a third, sometimes a fourth, as many as it takes to get it right. And our mission is to empower these women to break the cycle of trauma, addiction, and incarceration. And that's what we're looking at. Most of these women, they've been traumatized, and it's usually sexual trauma, and then they self-medicate with substances that are ultimately illegal, and that lands them in prison. And so we want to, and it's a cycle, and it not just with them, but a cycle with her children. Her children are going to be 5 to 6 times more likely to be incarcerated themselves. And most of the women that are in our house, I want to say all but maybe 3 or 4, their mothers were incarcerated, their mom and their dad. So a lot of these women that come to us, they don't even have anybody. And so they're already part of the generational cycle, the generational trauma that incarceration is causing. Verse to go with that is we love the Proverbs 31 woman, isn't she great? But it's not about trying to obtain this unattainable standard of perfection. It's about taking care of your family, trusting God basically, above all. The first part of this, she's clothed in strength and dignity. Dignity is a big thing that's lost when you're incarcerated, especially for a woman. You lose your identity, but your dignity is a big one. We want to try to give that back to her, not us, but God. Help her restore that. And in the second part, she laughs without fear of the future. She, in the days to come, she's confident. She trusts God. She's fearless. And that's the kind of woman that, we want to, instill, empower these women to be, like the Proverbs 31 woman. And so enough about Welcome Home SIS. I want to thank you, Presbyterian women. You guys are awesome. Last year, you guys raised almost $10,000. The groups in Ohio and then the groups in Pennsylvania, you raised over $10,000. And your support allowed us to, let's say, house expansion. So we moved into a bigger house, and that allows us to house even more women. Just this year alone, we were from January to June, we were able to house 8 women and 3 children, which is pretty substantial considering we've had 30 women, and let's just say 10, it's a typo on one part, but 10 women since 2020. So the majority of them were just this year in this bigger house. And I want you guys to understand what an impact that you're making, not only in the lives of these women and these children. You're literally saving lives. I mean, I hope you know that. You're literally saving lives. And it's not just these women and their kids, but when you keep one woman off the streets, the damage that's prevented that she could possibly do to society is just unmeasurable. We think about, I think we all know somebody that struggles or has struggled with addiction. Some of us may even know somebody who, has passed away due to drug addiction. And, somebody sold them those drugs. And when one woman is housed and she's safe and she's not on the streets, she's not on drugs, she's not lying, stealing, killing, tricking, whatever she's got to do to get said drugs, and so we're keeping the community safe like that. So not just these women, but society as a whole. And it's something that I'll never be able to grasp my head around how the damage is prevented. But we like to say at Welcome Home SIS, it's not so much what these women do. When they enroll in college, they get a job, they get their kids back. That's substantial, yes, and it's great. But it's more of what they don't do, what we're preventing. So we are also able to house women coming from jail, which I don't know if you guys know this, but jail is like a revolving door with these women. They go in, they cycle in and out. And women from prison, the goal with them is to keep them out of prison, obviously, and to help them get their kids back if that's what they want. But the women in jail, we want to keep them from going to prison in the first place, and we want to keep them from losing their kids in the first place. A lot of these women, they haven't lost their kids. And we were getting a lot of requests for housing, but these women had kids, and I hate to turn somebody away just because they had kids. But the house that we were living in, it was 1,000 square feet, And now we've got a bigger house, it's 5,800 square feet, so we can house like probably 3 families in this big house. So that's incredible. So thank you guys again so much. Thank you so much. And this is the house. Yeah, it's got red carpet throughout, almost all of it, which is, I'd tear it up, but yeah. But there's a really, really big house, and everybody's got space, and there's enough room for, like I said, 2 or 3 families. The little house we lived in before, it just wasn't healthy, productive, or even feasible. And I've got a video for you guys, because I want you to see exactly where your money's going. And we did a breakdown last year when we were raising money for this, about like what it costs to actually support these women in their journey to reentry. Last year, I had to turn away 2 women who had applied to our housing program because we didn't have the room. Unfortunately, both of these women are now back in prison. One because she was sleeping in a vacant building, or a building that she thought was vacant, and she was there because she had no other place to go. And we know that statistically speaking, without a stable, safe living environment, these women will reoffend. They'll go right back to prison. And what this also tells us is that we can prevent it. I don't ever want to have to turn another person down just because we don't have the room. We can do better than that. We have to do better than that. Is it our fault that these women went back to prison? Of course not. Could we have prevented it? Absolutely. And I say this because not a single woman who has been in our program has went back to prison. Not one. Okay, so tonight's featured program is our transitional housing and reentry program. It's our main program. It's what we do. And the first couple of minutes, I'm just going to basically break down what it costs to support these women in their journey to reenter society upon release from prison. What I've got it broken down to is just the very bare minimum that she will need, that anybody would need, actually, when they're trying to reenter society. I also want to point out that we get absolutely no funding from the government. We are not a halfway house. We are a safe house, and there are many characteristics that differentiate us from a halfway house. Mainly, they're ran and operated by the government, and they're funded by the government. Although we're certified by Ohio Recovery Housing as a level 2 recovery house, we get no state funding and no funding from the mental health boards either. The way that we are able to sustain this organization and continue helping these women is through private donations, donors like yourself, fundraisers such as this one, other like-minded organizations and nonprofits like Serving USA, who really have a passion and want to help, these women be successful. Right off the bat, she has some needs that we consider immediate, and they must be met the day of her release from one of Ohio's 3 state prisons. That first thing that she needs, she's going to need transportation. She's going to need a way to get to the safe house. The main prison is about 2 hours away, and the other 2 are even further. This $100 covers the cost of basically just the gas and expenses. We don't pay anybody to do this. We don't have staff or private drivers or anything like that. This is all volunteer work. And when somebody volunteers to do this, they are basically taking 7 to 8 hours, their whole day to do this, to go pick these women up. The state will pay to put her on a bus and pay for the bus ticket, which is, I believe, around $40, $50 at most. But these bus stations are full of predators. There are people that are waiting at these bus stations specifically for women to get out of prison. And they see them because, they're not hard to identify. They're vulnerable, and then they have on their prison sweatsuit. This brings me to the next need, which is immediate, and that's clothing. She's going to need something to wear, and she cannot walk around in that sweatsuit forever, and we don't want her to anyway. For most of these women, when they're released, that's all they have is the clothes on their back and what they're wearing. And we want them to shed the identity of a prisoner. We want to make them feel good about themselves. We want them to have confidence. And in order to do this, they need clothing. And I have clothing on here. We've actually incurred no cost for clothing since 2019. But I wanted to say a special thank you to all of the women in our community, Tia Nash, Angela Anderson, Cindy Voorhees, just to name a few, that have really stepped up and contributed and donated clothing that is good clothes. It's name brand, really nice stuff to make these women feel good and try to, restore that dignity that's lost when you're incarcerated. Also, Harvest Christian Fellowship. I can't say enough good things about this ministry. They've helped us since the beginning, and every time we get a new resident, they
they allow her to come to their store and do her own shopping and pick out her own clothes. So thank you everyone who's donated. Thank you all so much. The transportation costs will also cover the trip to the store because, we do take them shopping at Harvest Christian. So that $100 covers that transportation cost as well. And it also covers some of these women are on parole, and it will cover if she has to go see her parole officer in the next few weeks. So that covers that. The next thing she's going to need is food. She's going to have to eat, and she's going to have to eat that day. And the reason that we've estimated to be $50 is because we stop on the way home at a nice restaurant and we have lunch, and that covers her meal. All of our residents are taken out to eat at least once to a nice restaurant. We go out to eat after church, and we stop on the way home when we pick them up. This is just an extra gesture that we do. Of course, we don't have to do this, but a lot of these women, they've never been to a restaurant where you are served and have waiters or, servers. So it's just something that we like to do. The next needs that she's going to have met are her basic human needs. These are needs that we all have to have if we want to survive. And the first one is shelter. And I can't stress this enough. Housing is foundational for a successful reentry. You can have all of these other things fall into place or given to you or whatever, but if you do not have a safe, stable living environment, the other things are pointless and you won't be successful. If you think about it, productive citizens have a safe, stable living environment. They have a support system, which a lot of these women do not have that either. But to house one of these women in our safe house for 1 month, it's $350, and we've calculated it at 3 months. Not because they get kicked out after 3 months or they're done with the program or anything like that, because there's no set time period for our program. It's as long as she needs to be there, she can be there. Normally after 2 to 3 months, or usually after 1 month actually, the women, they're working, and we offer a hand up, not a handout. They start paying rent once they start getting an income. So they pay a percentage of their income. And this is a big part of our program, to teach these women responsibility and how to be an adult. And adults pay bills. The next thing that she's going to need is she's going to need food. And the $50 for lunch just included lunch. She's going to have to eat for the next at least 2 to 3 weeks until she gets her food benefits. Sometimes it takes up to a month. This $300 is what it costs for the average female to eat for 2 to 3 weeks. I also want to stress the food benefits, or food stamps rather, are only going to be supplied to her for 2 to 3, 4 months maybe, because just like her rent, once she starts getting an income, which she needs to, she's going to start paying a percentage of that towards her rent, and she will also lose her food benefits and be responsible for her own food, which is what adulting is all about. Part of this program is being independent and taking care of yourself. And to do that, you need to learn the responsibility, and you can't rely on the government to do it for you. However, you are going to need some help getting on your feet. Now, I will say this, as far as relying on the government, yes, we want to get the women on food stamps. They have an income. They can afford to buy their own groceries. However, Medicaid and their health insurance is a lot different, because these women are trying to gain independence and they're working, and it's just them. So they don't have any independence at this point, and they can't work. I mean, it's sad. It really is. They can't work a certain amount of hours, over 35 hours, or make over a certain amount of money, or they lose their health benefits, which being in treatment and getting your health addressed is part of our requirement, and they do that before they even start their job search. These women are going to need insurance for probably years to come. Often we're looking at not only the trauma in recovery, but what led to the drug use and was the trauma, and that's almost always exacerbated by the prison experience. Even women that go into prison with no mental health issues, or physical health issues for that matter, come out with multiple.
In addition to the basic human needs and immediate needs that we would all have, there are needs that are critical to a successful reentry. And we all have these as well. Not necessarily for our survival, but if we want to be accepted into society, these are things that we need as well. The first being is hygiene items. We call it a dignity bag because when you're incarcerated, the soap, the shampoo, the razors, everything it's universal. It's for men and women. So we call it a dignity bag because we put girly things in there. Stuff that makes you smell good, stuff that makes you look pretty, stuff that makes you feel like a woman again. When you're incarcerated, I mean, you've already lost your kids, and when you're given things that are meant for men, you often you lose a sense of your womanhood too. So we want to, restore that and make her feel pretty and like a woman again. The next on the list is identity restoration. The identity package is $25, and we've got to get her a state identification card, her social security card, and sometimes we have to get a birth certificate. That's why it's a little, on the high side, $25, because sometimes we have to mail in, and the birth certificates are usually like $30, but those, we don't often have to get those. But she's released from prison with a prison ID card, and we trade that in. Week 2, we trade that in to get her a state identification card. She is a restored citizen in the state of Ohio. And she's registered to vote. We do that immediately upon intake. We register all of our residents to register to vote. But, if you think about it, we often take this for granted. You need an ID for everything. You can't open a bank account. You can't sign a lease. You can't get a job without an ID. The prison ID, they say, is supposed to be accepted by everyone, like banks and things, but we've never tried it. But why would we want to? We don't want to do that. She is not that prison number. She is not that prison number anymore. So we want to get rid of that and get her a state identification card just like everybody else. Advocacy and benefits. She needs somebody to advocate for her, a career specialist, academic advisement, case management. That's the biggest part of this. But unlike other agencies and organizations that charge for, or pay, their case managers $15 to $25 an hour and then bill their Medicaid and charge the state, we don't do that. This is basically for our internet. We need internet. We need papers. We need supplies, things of that nature. People that are working with her do it because we want to do it and we want to help, and we do it for free.
When we started this, we got $40,000 seed money to start this organization, and then last year we lost it because I refused to take Christ out of my mission statement, out of who we are and what we do. She wanted me to change it to faith-based, and I said, no, I can't take God out of His own ministry. I'm not going to do it. So, that's I just won't budge on it. So. I didn't mean to call her out like that. But, and this video that I just showed you was an old video, so I definitely would have mentioned you guys in it too. So you'll be in the next one. Let's see. We talked about the cost and things, but what they're required to do while they're in the house, they have to get their mental health assessment and their physical. We want to get their health in order because a lot of these women come to us in very, very poor health. I take them to events with me, as you can see in the picture. I take them to I want to promote from within, so I take them to anything that I can take them to, take them with me to. Like, we got a check from one of the banks, and I have one of the girls go up there and accept it. It makes them feel part of things and accepted, by the community. And everybody meets the mayor, everybody meets the chief of police, and we have a daily devotion in the mornings. We use the new version on the TV screen because not everybody has their phones, and at least 5 nights a week, I want to bring, the dinner table back, because I think that's something that's missing with families and things today is, you don't sit down and eat dinner at the dinner table anymore. So I want to do that at least 5 nights a week. They make and prepare dinner and clean up and eat together. And like I said, I take them to meet the mayor and the chief of police, and we invite people over for dinner all the time. And sometimes they'll be, giving me excuses. Well, I got this or I got that, and it's like, well, okay, everybody sits down to eat. So guess who's coming to dinner tomorrow night? The prosecutor. So they love it. Not really. I got a testimony I want to show you guys, and then I want to talk about the Get Fresh Start.
I learned about Welcome Home SIS from somebody else that I was in prison with, and I corresponded with Angie back and forth through emails. It was the general idea that that's where I was going to go, was Welcome Home SIS. Well, then without notice, the county picked me up and took me back to Franklin County Jail. They released me the next day on a bond. And I was freaking out, calling Angie. I couldn't get a hold of her. I was leaving voicemails, because I was afraid. I didn't know where I was going to go, whether I was going to have to go back to the dope boy or not. Thankfully, Angie answered the phone. She came and got me. She picked me up and brought me here to Byesville. My life slowly got better every day since then. Slowly I gained confidence back and, began to believe in myself a little bit more every day. By being there and having that support system, I didn't have anything. I didn't have a toothbrush. I didn't have a place to lay, food, anything, and she made sure everything was taken care of. So I'm extremely grateful to Welcome Home SIS and everything that they've done for me. I continue, to do the things I do every day because of the foundation that Welcome Home SIS gave me. If I wouldn't have had that, who knows, I could be turning tricks for $10 worth of dope and nowhere to lay my head at night. But Angie was there and she cared and she helped me. And today, it might not be a lot for some people, but it's a lot for me. I have my own apartment. I pay my own bills every month. I have a car that I paid for. I see my kids every week. I get them on the weekends. I work a full-time job, and it's rewarding to know, I did that for myself, but with the help of Welcome Home SIS, because without that foundation or, just having her number to call somebody to come and get me, I could be dead right now. I could have overdosed and from a relapse, and I maybe wouldn't have found my way back. So I just wanted to take this time to say thank you to Welcome Home SIS and everybody that's helped me.
Okay, she was, like I said, she was our first resident, and she's doing really, really well. She was working 2 jobs, and she came back as a house manager. I believe Miss Miller, you met her. She came to that when we spoke at your event. She was with me. Okay, so the Get Fresh Garden was initiated in 2021, and the idea of it was to teach these women self-sustainability with the garden, with fruits and vegetables. You're growing your own fruits and vegetables, and it's not only teaching self-sustainability, but it's giving them something to feel good about. They're nurturing these seeds from, these plants from seedlings. They're planting them, and like I said, and it's healthy for them. These women do come to us in very, very poor health, a lot of them. Lettuce was like our claim to fame the first year. That's all we grew was lettuce. We did like hydroponics, so we did it inside the house. It was really, really cool. Just growing, the soilless method of growing things. We tried tomatoes and we didn't get any fruit, but it was really, really big. But we did cucumbers. Yeah, tomatoes we did do outside, but not in the water. But we did do cucumbers in a big trash thing, so 30-gallon trash can. And they did pretty good. We grew them in the ground too. But the house that we're at now, the land is really, really rocky, so we're trying to figure out where, we can put it. And we did have some things this year, but we introduced livestock to the Get Fresh Garden. So we've got 12 hens, a rooster, a turkey, 3 ducks, and goose. A really sassy goose. So, but the girls, they love taking care of something from a baby. And it was really. It was rewarding for me to see just, the way that they took responsibility and cared for things, It was just really, really touching, so. And they, they're the ones that were taking care of them. And we got eggs now, finally, so they're finally earning their keep, these chickens. But they ate all of the tomatoes and stuff we got planted, so. We're working on building a greenhouse, so that should be pretty good. But anyway, yeah, that's our garden from last year. And the idea was we wanted to teach these women how to social enterprise, how to, can and market your stuff, but we haven't got to that yet, but we will. We did get we got some canning stuff, or some peppers yellow, we made that one year, and it was really, really good. Put it on meatloaf and everything, so. And here's, I just love this picture. I think that says so, it speaks volumes. It's like, this hardened criminal with her tattoos, and she's just caring for these little ducks, and yeah, those are my favorite. Well, the goose is actually my favorite, but. So, I've got one more video, and it's only like a minute long.
Hi, my name's Darlene Knight. I'm a proud supporter of Welcome Home SIS. System-impacted survivors. Think about that. To me, it means women who've been impacted by the criminal justice system. They need help breaking the cycle of trauma, incarceration, and addiction. This nonprofit organization and program was founded and is directed by Angie Regan, my very good friend. She's doing a fabulous job. They are working hard, lifting up these women and helping them re-enter society. It's a cruel world that we have here on the outside. Getting back into the mainstream, transitioning can be hard to do. Housing is key, but only a part of this program. Every woman deserves to be empowered to be able to love herself again. It's a healing process, and this faith and Christian-based program can help do that. It helps regain their self-confidence and restore their dignity. Everyone deserves a second chance. I fully support and have seen the success that Welcome Home SIS has attained. I will proudly continue to help women who want to help themselves. They are deserving of a happy and healthy life. In my mind, kindness and compassion are always the way to go. Please help support this amazing program. To learn more, go to www.welcomehomesis.org. Okay, ladies, let's breathe in faith and blow out that fear. You will find happiness if you do.
I'm gonna, Heather, on board, and she has a couple things that she would like to say. Come on in.
Okay. Hello, my name is Heather Gordon, and I'm actually an elder at the Presbyterian Church in St. Petersburg, Ohio. And how we originally got involved with Presbyterian women from Welcome Home SIS. Oh goodness, it does. Well, it'll be all right. Well, the first thing I want to talk about is in your blue foot pack. Did everybody get one of these? If you did not, please see Angie or myself. We'll be happy to give you one. This is our hero card. We were talking about the financial investments that you can give. I don't care if it's $5. I spent, the first time I met Angie, I gave her 20. That means it doesn't have to be much. If you're interested in donating, you can write a check to Presbyterian Women and with this and give it here, or on the back is a way to mail it in if you decide you want to contribute to this wonderful, wonderful organization. That girl that talks on there gets me every single time because it's so real. And you see people walking down the street and you think, we all have our judgments and our whatever, but they're real people. These are real women. These are our sisters, and these are God's children. So we just need to support them. I do want to point out a couple heroines that we already have here in this room. The way that we got involved with Presbyterian Women was because of Judith Miller. She took the time to take my phone call, and she listened, and then she acted. And so, and Judith Jerry as well. So I would like to just give them our Heroine Award, and they are also doing the jelly, the pepper jelly that was made from the garden. So,